Hello everyone, welcome to AdiTrade. Today we're going to be seeing the Nifty and Banknifty levels for 26th, the weekly and the monthly expiry for May. This is the daily chart of Banknifty that I've opened. Banknifty has again given us a rejection from this level at about 34,720. So this line that I'm marking, right, see how many times we have taken rejection in this month itself. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and today almost 6 times we have rejected 34,800. My view for Bank Nifty and Nifty is still bearish. All the view of bearishness will change if we get a daily closing above this level. There's a good chance we can come higher. There's a gap that needs to be filled, even that can be filled. So my view for the market will be bullish only if we break about 34,800. Now just coming to the trade review of what happened today. So this is the CPR and I have the weekly and the daily CPR added. We got a very strong opening. The first candle was pretty tricky. We got a very strong opening, but exactly with this trend line that I've drawn, right? Exactly from there, we again got a sell-off until R1. So, but a good short trade was going to open only if we break R1, probably until CPR. That's why early in the morning in the Cosmofeed app itself, I mentioned the same thing, that if R1 breaks, we could slip. The first support is, say, probably around this day's low, around 34,400, and then the CPR. But again, we got a bounce. And when this candle, see, over here, it did look like a valid breakout, right? Because we broke the day's high range. If we see now, this was the day's high range, right? We rejected from here, came down, again went. This one candle looked like we're going to break out, but since I had this trend line drawn, so there was more chances of this reversing from here, and this one candle kind of confirmed it when this big red candle came. But still, I personally took a shot only after this previous day high broke, because that is much safer trade. So, but just see how the beauty of having the trend line and the analysis that we do. See, each time we have come at this trend line, we have slipped. Again over here we fell, and this is again today we came and retested it. We tested it twice and then had a dip. So that was a pretty good trade. And exactly we took support at the CPR level, and that's why even exiting your trade is very important. Now say if somebody had shorted even here, right, even where I shorted like previous day high or after R1 broke, if you had shorted, see the kind of fall that we got, and immediately a bounce from CPR. Again, this was, even this was a pretty good trade, but since we were able to capture it, that was good enough for us. So that's the reason at that first point where the target reach, and you see this type of candles that is rejecting, right? See, when the whole point of reading this wicks is, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of all the drawings. The whole point of reading the wicks is, how we read it is, see, wicks indicate where we are rejecting. Over here you can clearly see we were rejecting the CPR, right? So this wicks show a lot of, what do you say, confirmation in the market. When you get long wicks like this rejecting a point, most likely we are going to bounce from there, right, at an important pivot level. And see, here we got a nice down move, but we didn't get like an inverted hammer. If it was there, definitely yes, I would have taken a shot here with this R1 as stop loss itself. Even if you see the 15-minute chart, see the kind of rejections that were there. So if we had shorted even when the R1 or the previous day high broke, we could have easily caught about 100 points in the option premium. Today there was some decay as the VIX was falling. The option premiums were not jumping so much apart from this last move that came in, but still we were able to make some money. Now, understanding this VIX, right, if you see even over here, you see the kind of VIX that is formed. It's not like a solid red candle or a green candle. Every time we have come, we have rejected. This is a nice long wick rejecting. This is a nice wick rejecting this point. Yesterday, day before yesterday was a nice rejection. Yesterday also was, we rejected from 34,500. So definitely there is a lot of pressure at this point. So breaking this point is not easy. That is 34,800. But once broken, we can see some kind of an up move. Some short covering will come in for sure. Now coming for the trade possibilities for tomorrow, see, being a monthly expiry, it can remain very choppy. So the plan for tomorrow is to take quick trades, probably even in 2 5-minute candles. If we get a trade, it's best to take book profits and come out, because we could have this type of violent moves where we go up and down because of the monthly expiry. This is one trend line that I'll be watching. If this trend line breaks Bank Nifty, we could see this low again, that is around 34,112. Even if that breaks, definitely over here 33,940. Okay, but from here definitely there will be a bounce for sure, even based on the open interest. I'll be showing you that. See, in case we get a short move, probably here is where I'll look to book profits, because there will be some bounce from here for sure, because 34,000 is a very strong support. Even if you check the open interest, see 34,000 as the maximum put trading. Even today puts have been added, so breaking 34,000 won't be easy. And on the upper side, breaking 34,500 won't be easy. So this is one possibility. Or in case, depending on the global markets, right? See, as of now, the Dow Jones is quite flat. Let me just refresh. Okay, Dow Jones is showing about 133 points plus, right? In case we end up getting SGX Nifty showing 74, let me just refresh again. Say SGX Nifty is indicating 74, minus 74, and Dow Jones is indicating around what 140. So in case we get a gap down tomorrow, right, and we get a quick dip, see the first 5 minutes is very difficult to take a call or take a trade, right? You need to be very agile, especially if we enter within the first 5 minutes of the market. So in case that quick dip comes and we cannot catch it, definitely probably we can even think of buying it depending on the rejection. See, at this point, when we are at a very strong support, that is the time when we need to look if we can see some kind of a bullish divergence with RSI and price action. If we get, yes, there can be a good bounce from here, from 34,000. And in case we get a gap up, this is another selling point that I'm going to add over here, where we got pretty good selling today, is at about 34,500. So in case we get a gap up, again we will look to short at 34,500 levels. And this possibility, what I'm going to tell now, is just a possibility, because if anything like this happens, if the Dow recovers pretty good today, right, we get a strong closing, and SGX Nifty also gives us a good opening now, and tomorrow being monthly expiry, see, always when you can go and back test every Thursday on a monthly expiry Thursday, you will see some kind of a violent move. Most of the times you will see a violent move, and some big move can happen because of monthly, because there are a lot of shorts in the system, right? So in case we go above this, right, that is we get an hourly candle closing above 34,800, there's a good possibility we can get a nice short covering. The first targets on the upside are 35,000 and even 35,200. That's only if probably an hourly candle closes above 34,800, because of the selling pressure that is there here. See, even here it went up, but it didn't sustain, rejected. So even the same thing can happen if we get a gap up and come here. Probably we'll just get one candle and then again sell off. So in case we close above this level, right, we can see a very good short covering tomorrow in both Nifty and Bank Nifty. So this is one black trend line that we will be looking for now. Just looking at the CPR levels, we do have a white CPR indicating we could be a little more sideways and choppy, just like how we were past few days. See, in this chart I want to show the weekly CPR. See, the dotted lines here you see, right, that is the weekly CPR. And this line format that you see, the daily CPR. See, the weekly CPR is here at exactly about 34,130, right, and the weekly CPR pivot is over here at 34,000, close to 34,000. See, breaking CPR is always not an easy thing for the price action from what we understand and know about CPR, right? See, even today we came halted at CPR most of the time, and this dotted line is the weekly CPR, right? Even when this fall came, we halted at the weekly CPR. So in case tomorrow we come down in the CPR range, even the CPR pivots can be the target. First target can be the top CPR pivot. If the pivot breaks the bottom CPR, see, from my experience, most of the time when the price action is in the CPR, it will remain sideways, right? But tomorrow is a monthly expiry, so there's a chance we could even break this down or take support and bounce. So a lot depends on the price action, but these are the levels that we'll have to be careful. One is 34,000 and this 33,970 and even 33,827. So that is with Bank Nifty, the possibilities for tomorrow. And now just looking at Nifty. So this is a daily chart of Nifty where we have made a nice red candle again today. Now coming to the intraday levels, one beautiful support was broken today in Nifty, that is this line. See, all these purple lines that I've drawn, right, is from this week starting itself what I've drawn. After that I haven't changed much in both Nifty and Bank Nifty. If you see, if you have been like noticing in my videos, it's only this one or two intraday levels that I change, but most of the big lines are there as it is. That's how range bound our market is, like, meaning so sideways, we have just not broken out of the range. And the same thing with Nifty, even these lines, it's only a little bit of intraday lines that I'll change. See, this was a very strong support for Nifty. Even on this yesterday, I had pointed this out in our CosmoFit group that we have bounced from this good support. If this breaks, again a short trade will open up. And this broke, and exactly see the beauty of price action. We came and took support at this gap, right? This is the gap boundary. The gap boundaries will always act as support and resistance. Gap boundary meaning, see, this is the gap area, right? The shaded in blue. So the top part can act, the top part can act as a support or resistance, or even the bottom part of the gap can act as support and resistance. See, if the price comes here, most likely will take support or resistance, go, and the same thing if the price comes from down, right, most likely will take resistance here. Only if we break this level, then chances of filling the gap is there. And the same gap theory can be seen even in Bank Nifty. See, we do have, let me show you on this plain chart. I'm just shifting to an 1 hour chart just to show about this gap theory. See, we have this huge gap over here, right, this gap down. If I can just mark it, I keep all the gaps in blue so it's easier to identify it. See, this gap that I've drawn, see how beautifully the price has not broken this gap. Exactly, this gap boundary is acting as a resistance for us. And the same thing is happening in Nifty where it was acting as a support, right? So in case we tomorrow either gap down or break into this gap, right, let me just get the chart again. In case we break this level, there's a good chance we might slip, or since this is too big, the other support that can come, the first level of support is coming in over here. We could even slip until 1549, but if that instantaneous momentous move comes, right, there's a good chance we might even fill this gap. And on the upper side, I would keep one support line, resistance line here, and another one over here at 1600. So there's a good possibility. See, this line broke, right? Always what happens when, see, whenever support or a resistance breaks, always the price will come back to a retest. If it comes to a retest, that is the best time to enter, right? So in case if we come up again, probably good 16,100 can act as a good resistance, and if this level breaks, probably a short scalp until 15,940, and below that we have only 15,840. And any trade above 16,100, right, the first level of resistance is here, that is 16,200. We can also keep one small resistance line over here, 16,171. Now just looking at the open interest for Nifty. See, Nifty 16,000 still has some support, but one thing interesting is over here, if you see the change in OI, it's pretty small, but one day before the expiry we are seeing this change in OI. That is, some call sellers have come in and the put sellers have exited. The red is down and the green is up, right? So probably some big players are expecting Nifty to close below 16,000, but this quantity is very small. If this was a big green candle and a big red candle, then yeah, definitely we could have said for sure we will close below 16,000. This is still a small change. Probably it can even just get changed tomorrow morning. But yeah, good support even now is there at 16,000, and a good resistance is at 16,200 for sure, because even today breaking 16,200 might be difficult unless we get a big gap up or something, because even today you see the change in OI, it's pretty huge, right? So that's it for Nifty and Bank Nifty. Tomorrow can be a little volatile day because of the monthly expiry, so we'll have to trade carefully. And if anybody wants to join this group, 6 days is free, then there's a monthly payment, but yeah, you can just join the 6 days and see if it helps you, then definitely you can go with the payment. These are the type of analysis that we give, that if this is the support or resistance, or today specifically, see, usually I just put the intraday chart, right? I just wanted to cover the whole thing, so nobody should people should be aware of the resistance and the support lines that are there, right? So that's the reason I pointed out this black trend line, and it was pretty good. So that's it for today. Hope we can make some money tomorrow. Thank you.